Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the PTS Showdown. I actually get to host with you. Look at that. You're not Mr. Host anymore, Bart. Times have changed, my friend. Well, we have probably one of the more interesting matchups of the day coming up with Polyjuice taking on 5 Angry Men. Polyjuice, kind of like a fan favorite. They're a part of the Juice community. They're basically DM's minions who run around and they play. And then 5 Angry Men, who seems to be really good this season.
Yeah. A couple of definitely teams with a lot of interest behind them. Polyjuice, you either love him or you hate him in Brandon. Yep. And so you probably love or hate this team. And 5 Angry Men, famously part of a pretty, I guess, controversial ruling in the end of the last season. So
that's right.
It's like a controversy showdown here.
Yeah, for sure. Now, the one thing, if you're just tuning in and you haven't paid attention at all to the offseason, we're actually seeing Shing is no longer a part of Team Dignitas, and Team Dignitas
is no longer
isn't
North America.
even like a thing.
Well, they sponsor now a European team.
Yeah, they sponsor a European team. They're not in North America, so Shing now finds himself in the jungle here for 5 Angry Men. He's going back to his old role.
All right, it looks like we are getting into game here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be, well, it's not Complexity versus the Game Changers, actually. Wait, yes it is.
Wait, what?
What?
Oh!
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay.
Well, I guess we're casting Complexity versus the Game Changers.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back.
Okay.
So, Complexity going against, well, that is
changes
a
everything.
curveball, but I am very happy. So what you're going to be looking at here is, this is no shocker at all, Divios, my man, Big Baby, is actually a humongous fan of Hades right now. So Hades is a god who is the most winningest by far in the casual sense, but in the competitive sense, he kind of fell out of favor. So Divios was like, new map, I don't have to run a bruiser with Hand of the Gods, I'm going to try out Hades. Now, the theory behind Hades is you have to have a jungler with early pressure to get him on the board. But this is a really, really big matchup because it is, Cyclone Spin has a lot of hype going into the season, Bart.
Yeah, Cyclone Spin had a big showing at the North American Regional. That really put him on the map. And so he gets picked up, but can he really, bring it? That's kind of the question, right? Can Cyclone Spin, really, really bring it for this game and propel Complexity into a point where they can actually get a top 2 finish?
Well, so Team Name Changers, formerly known as Cog Red,
formerly known as the Game Changers.
Huh?
They were the Game Changers, then Cog Red, then the Name Changers.
Oh,
that's the
Name Changers. The Name Changers, formerly known as the Game Changers, formerly known as Cog Red.
There we go.
They started off as the Back Harpies, and due to that, Complexity, with no early wards at all, just decided to go for the invade, and they were able to steal the speed buff. So a slight advantage here to Complexity.
It's a big magical damage lineup though out of the Name Changers. Right. It's basically you got Hades, who's a core Hades. You have Ionic playing the support role, and you have a core Kronos and a core Kukulkan as well. That's a lot of damage, but good thing you picked the hardest carry in the game for your physical damage dealer in Kali. So Gars, he just has to get a decent start here basically, and they'll be in a good spot. Checking in our duo lane. It's Young Incontinentia and Allied, and they're going to be playing the ever so popular Sylvanas Poseidon lane, which we've seen a total of never.
Yep.
Obviously, this lane has a tremendous amount of control. It's very easy for them to clear the wave, and you'll see them doing so. Whirlpool, very, very effective at doing that, as is the Trident once if Allied likes to level that. Ionic in a bit of trouble. The CC chain coming through. That should be a kill. The top 1, 2, 3.
He didn't
no.
get it.
Healing Potion is going to be enough for that Athena. With the Mark of the Vanguard as well, very important to mention that she has elected for that. And we've actually seen that in the last game as well. A popular item for Athena as Ionic. It basically makes you 3 or 4 times as tanky, it seems like, versus minions, which Athena gets a lot of aggro with out of using her taunt and shield wall. So it's a nice item for them. Taking a look at the right lane.
And there's also no real shocker here that we're seeing, 2 mages coming out in this duo lane. Allied notorious for Vulcan as well as Freya, and on the other side, Snoopy. People don't actually even refer to him as a hunter. They consider him a mage player in the duo lane. So in this current meta, it fits out perfectly for him. So Kronos should definitely be a very, very comfort pick for Snoopy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Snoopy's Kronos here. Well, he used to try to play it back in the SPL and right before it. Like, he really wanted it to be a thing. A lot of players did, I think, and here, obviously, given the changes to how hunters work, is very, very powerful. Probably the best of the mages at playing the duo lane, especially as a range damage dealer. But we'll see what Allied can do with this Poseidon. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty tough matchup for him because Kraken's gonna have a hard time killing off a Kronos. He's just so speedy.
Yeah, Kronos is going to have... Kronos should be okay in that lane matchup, especially with Athena. Athena right now is probably the #1 support player due to the pressure she can put on the lane and, as well as control. But when we take a look at the solo lane here, which we haven't really talked about besides at the beginning with Hades, he's going up against X-Ball and Cyclone Spin. Now, this is kind of the matchup everyone's kind of looking at, right? We said Cyclone Spin's very, very strong. He had a good show in North America. But X-Ball has a very hard time early with wave clear, and Hades is the exact opposite.
Well, Hades, not necessarily. I mean, Hades, it's about level 4 before he can clear the wave, which means that Shiblanca's going to have at least his ultimate to deal with by the time you can start really clearing the wave. You'll see here at level 6 now, Divios will not have much trouble clearing that out. I mean, you need level 3 Devour Soul really to get it going for yourself, so... or it's just not that mana efficient. Given there is a blue buff over there. Yep. Here comes the Kraken onto Ionic. He's taking quite a bit of damage. Incon's here as well, but it's just not enough to finish off that Athena. She seems impossibly tanky so far in this lane. Coco ultimate comes through. No damage coming out, though, onto anybody at this point. Incon does go down. Snoopy immediately pops that rewind as Garz falls back. They know they need to protect their Kali as Kiki's making his way forward. Will he have enough here as the CC chain comes through?
Now, Arachne's got to have a lot of sustain, right? She's got a lot of lifesteal. She's also being played in the mid. Kiki rotated out from solo into the mid lane now. And so far, you know, and if you watch the scrims from last night, it was the Polyjuice versus Complexity. And he was playing Athena in the mid. And now he's playing Arachne, which tells me how comfortable is he in the mid lane with actual mages? And the answer is not very, in my opinion.
Not very. And it's going to be, well, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say, right? Everyone's still trying to kind of figure out exactly where they live in this current set of changes, but you can't imagine that Arachne's really a great matchup versus Kulkin.
Yeah, no, there's no way she can even get close. I mean, I guess she can throw the web down, ult, go in, but then even still, it's like, here's a whirlwind at my feet, there's half your health, and that's actually a shell of absorption coming out on the luge.
Oh, contention. Who's going to get it? Who's it going to be? Oh, why would you move away there?
We care about the last hit, Adonis. It's all about stacking.
Last hits are important.
I wonder, Bart, how strong we're going to see Sercat, because I don't know about you, but Sercat at SWC, it seemed like she's very underwhelming besides when Andinster played her.
It seemed like she had gotten figured out a little bit. Like teams had learned a little bit how to play against her, but as we've kind of been mentioning, guys, this is being played on the PTS, which is the new map, new season, a lot of balance changes. I think similar to Agni in some respects, like this guy just has a lot of CC, she does a lot of damage, and when you're not getting the same defensive items or the same offensive or movement speed-based items you're used to, she just has a lot of kill potential and can be very strong. A little bit different than Arachne, right? Arachne needs to like chase you down, and you can always just use Sprint versus Sercat, who just sometimes blows you up. And Kali as well, although I think everyone respects the Kali. No one's thinking, well, there's no way this Kali's going to kill me right now.
Well, you can just see, I mean, the thing about Arachne that's beautiful for Arachne players is the fact that, hold the phone. Nope, I thought Divios was going to go in. The thing about it is when you play Arachne, as soon as you get a little bit online, you're fine. What?
I'm holding the phone.
Well, I don't, oh, God, I hate it. That's a DM joke, man. You
I know, I'm holding, yeah, you guys can't see it, but I'm holding my cell phone up and showing
like
Scott.
A person who actually is funny to like a 12-year-old.
Oh, man. But yeah, you're right. X-Baller, you see what happens when you play versus the Hades. I mean, once he really got his clear together, the tower went down very, very quickly. That's a pre-7-minute tower. That used to be basically like the low water mark for when you would see a tower go down. Like 7 minutes was like, yeah, you just destroyed that lane. So Divios, he just... No, I don't even know.
What can
Gobbled
he do?
the lane up.
What can he do? He has
realistically
to
not much. Realistically not much. Like without like I don't know, something that I don't even know about. Some kind of early charged hammer or golden bow start. You know, that somehow gets him from level 4 to level 8 without losing his tower. Maybe he can do it then, but realistically, probably a lot more pressure out of Sercat.
Yeah,
right? Like that
you know,
had to win the lane.
I was just getting ready to say, you know, I've had the privilege or the honor, if you will, of Complexity letting me watch the scrims. And the big thing is Weekend normally caters to Cyclone Spin because he's such a hard carry. But we haven't seen any pressure, and I don't know if it's because he's afraid of Divios or if there's just nothing really there. But I mean, Divios is all the way shoved up. There is no reason why a Sercat and an Arachne can't rotate and kill him.
You can definitely bully a Hades.
Yeah.
Like, once he uses his spells, there are long cooldowns, and he kind of just has to run away. So, I mean, you can definitely bully him, but not coming to fruition just yet. We're going to have an engagement in the mid lane. Here comes the Hades. He's got a nice position here. This could be a big pillar of Agni if he wants it. He will indeed. Wow. And the damage coming through. That's the first kill, and it's going to go down. Weekend takes to the Infinite Web, trying to make his way out. Allies here as well as the Athena comes rifling back in on top of the Hades, but that's going to end it for the moment as the second kill of the game does go the way of Divios' Hades, who's now sitting at level 10 and is big and beefy and scary.
Yep, and here comes the taunt. Kiki, his ultimate's down. This should be a guaranteed kill. Ionic's going to be
Shield
able
wall.
to secure that one. And as we take a look at the left lane, you're just going to see Snoopy kind of farm up. Sylvanas is going to rotate over there, which is going to be Incon. And he's going to be able to hold it, but not by a lot. Now, what's interesting about Sylvanas, right, is we initially take a nerf to his 2, and it no longer affects minions. And people were like, oh, his wave clear is just so bad now. But the thing they miss is that he's got an AoE basic attack, as you're seeing right now, and Lotus Crown on Sylvanas. The new Lotus Crown is perfect on him.
Yeah, the Wing Blade helps him out some as well, you know, giving him that little bit of extra attack speed. I mean, this item is basically just like, you want some stats with your stats so you can have stats while you also don't get slowed. I mean, so it gives you a little bit of everything, basically.
Stacks on stacks on stacks.
You can see here, by comparison to last game, Cyclone Spin with about an 8-minute, 15-second Transcendence. So he loses he would have been about 12 stacks behind the Uller from the last game. So that was an exceptionally fast timing in the last game. Here, a little bit more standard, especially if you just got beat so bad in the solo lane. It's a pretty good timing.
Yeah. Now, unusually enough, Allied is a player who always stays in lane. He farms up, and then he rotates when there's gold fury fights. There hasn't been any of that, so Poseidon really hasn't gotten involved. And now at this point in the game, this is when we start to see Aegis get online. When you see across the way there, Kronos does have an Aegis online, so it's going to be very hard for him to get those good Krakens in, especially on the Kronos.
Yeah, it's starting to get harder, and he has max Whirlpool. Oh, we have a big initiation in the mid lane. Kraken.
There's one.
Kraken does the dirt there. The setup came through from the Sylvanas of Ionic and, from Incontinentia, and it was an easy follow-up for Allied there, continuing to build farm for him. But this seems to be a team formerly known as Cog Red, the name changers. Well, it's early to call it, but it's a good early game for them. And they have Hades, who is a tremendously powerful tempo controller through the mid game. They have Akali that has a good start, no deaths, and 2 assists already. She's going to have a chin size up in probably the next 3 or 4 minutes.
Well, that'll be interesting to see if the chin size is still the item of choice.
Oh, of course it is.
Right?
For Kali?
You think it still is, even with the slight nerf to it?
I think so, yeah.
I haven't... Every time I play Kali, I felt like severely underwhelmed.
Well, but he already has the balance blade, which means that it's either that or an Executioner, and I just don't see the Executioner coming out because Kali's not looking to fight right now, right? And it would be largely wasted. Where the chin size, it's just such a good bet, especially as a primary DPS item. If you're going to go into a Magi's Blessing next, that I just don't see the Executioner coming out. It takes too long to do the damage. Plus, the effective shred of the percentage HP is better versus the tankier targets in the Sylvanas mostly. So I don't know. Maybe you're right. I mean, not a lot of tank on the side of complexity. So question marks. But
I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be Chins. I just don't know how strong it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely be changing my tune if he does go for the Executioner here. But my strong assumption is it will be chin size.
Oh man. So. Looking at it here, we're 11 minutes into the game, 3 kills to 1, which isn't really the big story here. The big story here is when you take a look at the graphs, there's 3,700 experience difference and 3,100 gold difference.
Yeah, it's just been a steady and just steady win by the name changer so far.
It's just steady.
And the Gold Fury obviously adding to that, giving it a little bit more a little bit steeper slope than we would have seen before, but.
Well, this is what we like to see out of name changers.
Look at this timing, dude. Like, this is like, how do you deal with this? You have 2 Warlock Sashes and a Doom Orb fully stacked, right? The Warlock Sashes both coming online at roughly the same time between the Hades and the Kukulkan. Kronos has a fully stacked Doom Orb, and you have Akali who's going to have chin size, sitting at about 800 gold right now. I mean, so you see 11 stacks, 7 stacks, and 50 stacks apiece. The timing that the name changers have right now, they can really, really bully complexity around, and they've just taken the Gold Fury, really showing how they can do that. And now, like,
look at right lane.
Yeah, they can take whatever they want. I think they're kind of grouping mid, not really consolidating their push just yet. Snoopy in a bit of trouble. Aegis coming out. Rewind is going to be in time, and he's going to make his way back. And now Allied's the one in trouble. They're going to look for him. But there's the stop time. The bubble going to be coming out soon as well, but it's just ripping through with the auto attacks to Snoopy, and there is the kill. And now here comes the rest of the team. The name changers looking quite potent. Yeah,
the name changers, it's funny, right? We change up the jungle just a little bit, and it's still, your jungle belongs to the name changers. They have perfect 4-man rotations going in. They go, okay, we got to prioritize this. We want this tier 1 on the left side. Let's go ahead and just 4-man group it, and then we can force a Gold Fury if we really want.
Yeah, and you see them. They're hunting the enemy jungle while looking to control these 2 mid-camp spawns that come up. So looking to pull even further ahead, of course, are the name changers, and in position to do so. Hades starting to clear the right side. He may have a bit of trouble with the Arachne, but she's going to think better of it as she sees the big, well, cow of death, I guess, in the mid lane here.
Look at that.
Damage coming through with Kiki. I mean, it's really not that potent yet. He doesn't really have damage items, per se. He's got cooldown reduction and an HP stacking item, but...
and that's what he wants to do, though, right? Like, next is probably going to be a Breastplate of Valor.
Breastplate or Obsidian Shard, depending on the pace of the game, most likely. I think you're right.
Oh, my God. Boosh actually missing an ultimate. That's the first time in a long time. When Kukulkan...
Hey, it's just a friendly.
Yeah. It's just
that's why I missed there.
Yeah.
It's not there's not much on the line. $250. Like I said, that's a hefty chunk of change. But
I got to say that's probably my least favorite change that we've made in the offseason was the fact that we gave 2.5 seconds to Whirlwind instead of 2. Like, I hate Kukulkan. I'm gonna be the one to say.
Yeah, you didn't have to really play much against him when you really started playing Smite when you started here. He was starting to phase out. He was getting nerfed a little bit.
Yeah.
And now you get to see exactly what it's all about.
It was so bad, like, because I'm that guy who like Whirlwind goes down and I'm like, step into it.
Yeah. Let me just see how close I can get to this. Yeah, I always see it. I'm like, I think I can get around it on this side, and then eat 400 damage.
Yeah, and then half your health's gone, and then he hits you with his Zephyr, and then it's like, well, I'm dead. GG. And this is really, really shocking for a lot of people. I think a lot of people invested so much stock into Cyclone Spin, and yeah, he does have Transcendence, which is kind of interesting on X-Baller. I wasn't expecting X-Ball to actually go Transcendence. I was expecting more of like the traditional Devo into Executioner and then Ichaival.
Right.
Or Ichaival before Executioner.
Well, so back when Xbalanque was really being experimented with, Transcendence was the primary item that we saw built on it because it allows you to keep branching bolas on for that extra bonus damage basically forever. Essentially infinite mana, as well as being the highest single item contribution to damage, and normally you're playing Xbalanque for the extreme late game, it's just a good slot to use for Transcendence. Now, granted, you don't have the lifesteal, which is going to make it difficult, and we'll see if he goes for the Aussie as the Uller did as his 4th item here after that Death's Toll.
Yeah, well, we're about 30 seconds out from this Gold Fury spawning up. You can start to see the name changes all rotating here. Ultimates online for all 10 players here on the map. I was getting ready to say 8 because I'm so used to Siege. Kraken comes down. That's going to hit 1. Allied forced all the way out. Gar's looking for it. Isn't able to have the follow-up. Meanwhile, on the right side, though, you're going to see Arachne starting to close in. They're not going to go for the engage at all. They weren't going for the collapse. Instead, they're just like, okay, we know where they're at. Let's just play this safe. Snoopy charging up. He's hit the accelerate, misses the stun. He's got one on the left side, forced out one. Kiki's in a lot of trouble there, forced to Nightcrawler out of this one. Will Gars continue to pursue? He's not, but that burns ultimates. That's a win.
Gold Fury is going to be started up by the name changers, and as you mentioned, ultimate's down.
Yeah.
You only have Weekend's ultimate and Incon's ultimate. It's like complexity. Granted, this is Sylvanas' ultimate, nothing too shabby. Gar trying to go deep onto the Poseidon there, but he's going to get cut off, and the team just started to collapse on him. In the meantime, Weekend does get exploded by Divios. Kali using her ultimate to stay alive for the moment. They clear the spiders out. Nicely played, but Gar still goes down to the dot. Here's the ultimate from Divios to stop the pursuit a bit. Incon gets a nice ultimate onto several, but obviously there's nothing here to help clean this one up for him. He's going to get taunted back into the shield wall, into the tornadoes, and that is a dead tree. A lot of damage, and Incon sits there thrown out in hands. Just being sad a little bit. Divios continues to bully Kiki. And this is what we're talking about in terms of Hades. And you were right, of course, about that Breastplate of Valor does come out, which leads me to believe that he will now be building into his damage items. Maybe a Bancroft's talent coming out of that tiny trinket. And, well, he's just perfectly happy to zone this whole team. And it'll take them way too long to kill him. They'll get killed before they kill him,
Divios
for
is
sure.
just bullying him right now. He just zoned out an Arachne and a Poseidon by himself like it was nothing. He's just forced them out. He's 3-0 right now. He's still just going to continue to crush, but, it's not over for Complexity. Complexity really just needs to, like, push some waves and kind of regroup. The big problem here is they need to have way more defensive wards than they have. When you look at Complexity's jungle, you see, like, 1 sentry ward by the red buff. That's, like, it. They have to get that vision out. Yeah. They have to.
I mean, really the positioning from Complexity has been pretty poor in these last 2 team fights.
Good point.
You saw it at that last engagement. They split to go try to kill the Kali, but lost Kiki really early there in that fight, and he got basically just spread out by the team, and then they were really out of position. They had like 3 people in the mid ground. They had 1 person running from Kali, 1 person fighting Kali, and 1 player dead. As Cyclone Spin after you leap, there's not much you can do on Xbalanque, especially if you picked up you know, he had beads 3 there, and he didn't use it.
I think he kind of looked at it as he was dead.
Yeah, I'm just dead.
And that's one of the tougher calls to make when you're a professional player is like, can I live? If I'm going to die, is it worth doing this? And they have to ask themselves that question.
Well, yeah. Obviously, the answer is no. If you're going to die, you definitely don't want to use that. Hades does pick up that bankroll talent. Divios pulling way ahead. A lot of gold farm. He's going to be the first to 10,000 by a pretty big margin. And you still have, well, Sylvanas here under 7K, but more importantly, and this is why Arachne mid just seems so suspect. She has almost just nothing. 7,000 gold.
She's had no presence on the map at all.
Least farm.
She went Transcendence first, which is like what?
Least farm damage dealer on her team, or least farm out of the core. Sylvanas obviously a little bit behind her. It's looking pretty rough. I mean, he's at the same level as Incon. Or I'm sorry, as Ionic. So, and Incon for that matter. It's just not been a good showing out of the Spider.
Yeah, which, you know, looking at it, I mean, maybe if it was. I don't know what mid actually Arachne could duel against that I would be like, okay, this is a good pick. Like
Chalk.
Oh, okay.
Right, like another melee?
I'm saying mage, bro. Okay.
So like a ranged character she would be good against in mid.
Like not Agni. Agni has a getaway.
Ra's too fast.
Ra's fast, and he's got the heal. And plus, by the time you get close to killing him, the jungler's gonna rotate anyways, right?
She's decent against Poseidon.
Okay. I could see
because the ultimate will deal with the cripple pretty well if she gets caught out. She's good against probably like maybe not Thor, but you know certain you know jungle initiators, right? I mean, she can use the ultimate to bail out pretty well.
I think the big thing here that we're trying to get at is just that the Spider it doesn't belong in the mid. It just really doesn't. Like, I understand the idea behind it, like, comfort pick, let's try it. And granted, this is just a PTS Showdown, but, like, this is kind of like a look at what to expect.
Also, you know, Cograd, the name changers have picked a pretty serious lineup here to pick a Arachne mid. You know, it's like,
oh, yeah.
They didn't pick any kind of, like, real style picks here. I mean, maybe you call the Hades that, but Divios has been playing it a lot in it, and is definitely a big proponent of it being exceptionally powerful here in the new game state. But they still have the Kali. They still have one of Bush's best gods. They have one of Snoopy's favorite and best gods. You know, it's just a lot of.
Look at the jukes.
Yeah.
Look at the jukes.
I mean, these are two exceptionally speedy mages. You know, they're both really, really fast. It's Poseidon versus Kronos, and Snoopy, uncharacteristically, is missing basically everything there. But the fight continues in the mid lane as Divios is on a rampage. That's 5 kills for him. 20 minutes in, and this tier 2 seems to be dead to rights as Cyclone Spin is doing his best, but he's had a long day fighting this Hades, and a few more in-hands aren't making it any better for him, as Divya seems no worse for the wear, even with a Xbalanque with 4 items online.
Hades' basic attacks are also, like, huge, right?
Yeah.
It feels like when you play Hades, you have to try to miss those auto attacks.
Yeah, they're big and they're chunky, but, you know, and they don't do a lot of damage. You know, there's nothing worse than playing Hades in the soul lane, trying to kill your own blue buff for, you know, 30 seconds. Oh, this is always a sign that things are going bad. 4-man farming your jungle.
Yep. 4-man farming. And the worst part is you can just see the name changers were like, we can let them push all the way up on solo lane. We're not really worried about that. We'll just keep shoving down duo lane, because the big thing is they want to get that duo lane Phoenix down because it's the furthest away from the Fire Giant. So then as soon as that engagement happens, they're like, oh, okay, you got to deal with that. We're going to take Fire Giant. See you later.
But realistically, they don't need to do much of anything with the lead that they have. Nearly 10,000 gold, 12,000 experience in their favor.
Well, you know what?
Jake can just 5-man, dude. Like, you know, it doesn't. You're right. I mean, tactically, or rather strategically, it makes more sense to take the far side Fire Giant. Or the far side Phoenix, I'm sorry, away from the Fire Giant. Obviously, it spreads the map out. It forces you to stay there and at least have one person babysit. But right now, the name changers, they can basically just roam as 5, find picks, and take whatever they want. And so they're probably perfectly happy to have Divios run this decoy on the right side and take the Gold Fury, which is what may be the play right now. And if there's transitions at any pickoffs as they ward up the jungle, they'll probably just go take the Fire Giant. So it's a very strong power position for them.
I mean, Complexity just has to do something, right? Like, they're losing everything. They might as well just collapse here on Divios. So you're on the right side. Gold Fury is going to go to the name changers. Divios now is going to turn on Serket. Serket missing the Mez as well. So now Divios is going to try to bully the Mez back up. She's got the last breath on him. Divios forced all the way out. In comes Athena. He's going to go ahead and just try to stall time here. They can't kill him. Pillar Agony's going to come out. Isn't able to quite kill him yet. And there he goes. Kiki coming in. He's got Ionic on the backside. He's going to try to stay alive here. He's doing an excellent job, Bart.
Yeah, big heal coming out of that combination, but they're going to use a Sylvanas ultimate as well. They really want him dead, and Incon will get credit for that kill. Shell coming out as well as the disengage comes through. But here's Snoopy the back line, and he can line up a big stun if he has the right positioning here. He's looking for that angle. He is going to miss, but it doesn't matter because Gars, he has shin size now, and that means that if he finds you, you die.
Yeah, shin size and executioner online for Gars, so if he gets anyone locked up, it's pretty much curtains. They're going to continue the siege down. They got two members down here, so there's going to be a 5-on-3 scenario. They should be able to siege this tower pretty quickly if they really want to focus it down. But the lack of Hunter means the tower's going to stay up just a little bit.
That's right. Yeah, Snoopy not going to be quite as potent at taking it down. They really got to get Gars in there, and they need Gars to have. Oh, he has the executioner here, and he's going to go for what, a Fatalis maybe?
Maybe.
I mean, I can't. And maybe it's the Wishblade, but probably not considering that.
Well,
it had
no.
Movement speed
Fatalis makes sense. He doesn't have sprint 3.
Right. He doesn't have exactly. Yeah. He went for the beads, so it's probably haste and Fatalis, which means that he is going to be damn near attack speed capped, if not at it with that haste and Fatalis. Really needs a pen. That would be the next thing to be looking at. Like the Titan's Bane would help out a lot versus towers.
Yeah, Titan's Bane's probably the next logical one after the haste and Fatalis. But on the other side, I mean, we can. On a god who is notorious for being able to carry games as well as just shred one single target, 0-4-2. Now, granted, that's not saying a whole bunch just because, you know, you're only seeing 3 kills and it's coming out of the duo lane, and 2 of which are on Incon. You just got to wonder, is Serket going to be the flavor, or is it, you know, weakens play?
I think that it's 2 melee mobility-based assassins, right, on the side of complexity. And it's just too greedy.
Yeah. Basically.
That's what's going on. They just can't control any space in these team fights. They have 3 of their cores are just have no AoE presence whatsoever. And then they have a Poseidon to kind of make up for it, but it's not really doing much. He really is a one-trick pony. He kind of dumps everything, and that's it. And then it's all on the back of Incon. He only has so many spells, so the team comp just isn't here. I mean, it's I guess you could say it's a snowball-based lineup with the 2 assassin melee cores, but it's a really just, I don't know. For me, it's a not a great set of gods to put together. I mean, you can see what they're trying to do, right? You're trying to have the Poseidon and the Sylvanas control all the space and let your assassins go nuts and have Shibalanke just channel damage, but up against this just very traditional composition from the name changers, it's not accomplishing much. And Hades is kind of excellent against this exact thing that Complexity's trying to do. Like, they're like, oh, we'll make space for our assassins, let them run wild. And Hades is like, well, I'll just eat the assassins.
Yeah.
Then what do you
Hades
do?
has no problem. Force out Sylvanas. Sylvanas is just going to be taken out instantly. X-Ball on the backside. He's going to be partnered up with Allied. Rewind forced out of Snoopy. This looks like eyes are going to turn to the Fire Giant here, or at least it's going to be a bait. You just got Divios zoning. They can't see anything, and they're going to get into danger territory here. And Ionic is going to lead the way. Gars is going to jump in. That might be a dead Allied. Look at his health just drop.
Yeah, just
nom. What do you do?
Well, so like,
what do you do?
At the end of the day here, right? Like these 2 assassins, if they're ahead on the side of complexity, they eat the Hades pretty well. Like they can gobble them up, but it's just not working out that way.
Yep.
Not the solo, right? If it was, that's why you don't see support Hades very often, because against melee assassins, he's not that great because they just sit in the Pillar of Agony and just destroy him. But when he has all this farm, they just don't DPS fast enough, and even if they do, they're still going to get down to half HP, and the rest of the team is going to be able to do the work. And speaking of the work, here come the name changers. They take a tier 2.
Dude, this is scary. Go ahead and bring up the graphs here, and take a look at this. It is 19,000 experience and 15,000 gold.
Yeah,
like,
it's just
what? Like you're looking at
insurmountable.
You're looking at almost 4 level 20s, Gars and Boosh both being relatively close, and like just Cyclone spins level 19. Like
to be fair, I mean, this was not that different than how this matchup looked during last season.
Pretty much.
I mean, so like
pretty much, yeah.
The name changes have pretty much always had the number of complexity, it seemed like, and even though they are probably the 2 strongest competitors making a showing here in the show matches, you can just see you know, why Cognitive Red was so highly lauded going into the World Championships, nearly undefeated on online play, and continuing to show their strength here and their understanding of the changes. A slight adjustment to their strategy yields them a Chronos in the Hunter role, as well as a Divios in the Divios's Hades, in the solo lane, and that's been enough. They've done enough. They've done enough adjusting to do what they need to do with this patch. You can see the itemization here. Nothing too crazy. Still fairly standard. It was the Witchblade on Kali, which is interesting. And you have that Sovereignty plus his Heart Ward combination again on the side of Ionic's Athena. So everything coming up in spades here for the name changers.
Well, looks like the siege is going to happen. Incon versus Divios. Divios going to go ahead and shred through the health just a smidge. You got Ally trying to hold down this Phoenix, but there's not a whole bunch he can do. The Kraken's going to come out. He's going to be in a lot of trouble. Pillar Bag, he's going to be there. They're going to be able to gobble him up. And now we're going to see Complexity in a 4-on-5 again. Make that a 3-on-5 as Weekend went down as well. So this is tough. Or Kiki, excuse me. He actually died a long time. When did he die?
Yeah, you know, I can't tell you. I have no idea. The Brute coming out from Sylvanas, the stun coming through on Incon in exchange. Fire Jump up continuing to heal them up. Ionic feeling ballsy. He goes in comes Divios as well. Gets down the Devour Souls. Serket does actually a fair amount of damage there as the Spider goes up into the sky, but sitting at only about a third HP. There's no way that Kiki's looking to initiate here. Phoenix will be reaggressed on, and it will fall this time. And really, at the end of the day, it's the name changers. They're breaking the base here pre-30 minutes, and Shibalanke has not kept pace with Kali well enough to really, you know, force that fight and be a real threat as a hard carry here. Kali's just going to eat up everything.
That's a beautiful
Hades making Rube. Boosh with a nice on the target Kukulkan ultimate, and it's 2 members alive for Complexity. I'm sorry, 3 members alive for Complexity, and this could very well be the end, as it's all 5 members with a Fire Giant buff for the name changers.
Yeah, I mean, look, name changers just don't care, man. They're just sieging everything. They're taking each Phoenix one by one. In comes the taunt of Athena. They do have a little bit of a follow-up here. Sylvanas' ult's going to come down, and now you're just going to see Kali go ahead and jump back. They might actually go back and buy in this scenario and wait for the Fire Giant, which will be up probably in like a minute. So that might be their option.
Yeah, it looks like it will. I mean, they're going to farm out. So they're going to farm out the enemy jungle, right? All of the camps are here, so they're going to go look to clean that all up, which will, you know, basically make it so this next fight is even more one-sided. I mean, it's a safe play, and you know, they're interested in making sure that everyone knows exactly how strong they are, and obviously if they left the Cognitive organization, they're trying to find new sponsors, and a dominant showing here definitely doesn't hurt their bid for any of the new squads that they want to be a part of.
This is our first look, right? Like, oh, let's see how they've adjusted.
Right.
But it's like everyone kind of deep down was like, oh, yeah, they're good. Don't worry about it. I don't even know how many hours Boosh has put into the PTS, to be honest. Like, I've played a bunch with Gars. I've played a bunch with Divios. Ionic, I've seen him be streaming, but he's streaming like 1v1 Joust. Yeah. So, like, what's the Boosh been doing? You know what I mean?
Boosh has been, you know, taking it easy. Playing on his iPad.
Yeah, his iPad mini.
He loves that iPad mini.
He does.
He's all about it. He just got it at the World Championship. He was super excited, so I imagine he's been having some quality time with that. Let's take a look at let's take a look at the fight as Shibalanke Ultimate is used, and Gars is going to eat up a Weekend. Cyclone Spin. Here's the power Shibalanke. You can see how much damage he does, but any CC coming through is going to force him to leap out. Gars, he's going to backpedal out of this fight as well. In the meantime, the Spider's gone a bit deep. Ally did go down, and Kiki just looking for any way to make it out of here, but Divios is one step ahead of him. And Kiki is likely to fall here. Damage coming through. 1, 2, 3 more auto attacks from Snoopy, and down does indeed go.
Hey, but they got Gars on the backside.
But they found Gars, so
they got Gars. Gars completely split up from his entire team.
But the Titan's taking a lot of damage, and there's still 4 members.
Oh, he's got shield. He's got teleport.
Yeah,
Divios
teleporting to a ward.
He's gonna jump straight in. Doesn't care.
What a play!
What a play from the Divios.
Is it enough though? I mean, it has to be. Right?
This is. Look how many minions.
Yeah, look at the minions. And yeah, there it is. Divios like, blows it up. Clever play. A little bit of a cheeky play by Cognitive Red, aka well, I guess now the name changers, which was. You can see there was going to be the 4th game, but we did have a little bit of a technical issue, guys. And so Apologies versus 5-Acre Men is going to be coming up next as our final game of the day here in North America for the PTS Showdown. These matchups were chosen by you, the viewers, and the winning team picks up $250 for showing up and making giving us all a little bit of insight on how to play on PTS. Yeah. These are a preview of the Season 2 changes, and you should be taking notes here. We saw that seems to be that the popular build here is this Mark of the Vanguard, Reinforced Greaves. Sovereignty Heart Ward
interesting to me
for the tanks.
I was really expecting Watcher's Gift to be the one.
Sure.
I mean, Mark of Vanguard is very, very strong.
It's an excellent one, especially on Athena, given how much creep damage she'll take. But that does do it for our third game, guys. We'll be back with the fourth game. It is Polyjuice versus 5 Angry Men. Coming up next, give us just a couple of minutes here to drink some water, and we'll call the action for you to finish out the day. Thanks for showing up, and we'll see you in a bit.